Over the past 24 hours, if you've been on any social media pertaining to Endfield or you are in the Endfield bubble, you've probably seen everyone rant and rave about the gacha system or the opposite, absolutely condemning it, saying this is the worst thing ever. You should probably not even play the game and not give it a chance. Now, I'm not going to be here to explain to you the direct gacha system. I'm going to give you a quick synopsis, so if you don't actually understand how it works, you are going into this with some, some bullets in the chamber, so you understand at least what it does on a base level, because it's getting way too overcomplicated, and I need to explain my piece because it extends beyond the gacha around what the hell is going on. Alright, let's get into it. So this is a quick long and the short of it, and we'll get into why I'm kind of making this video in the first place, because it's getting insane. If you don't know how the system works, you don't need stuff like this giant picture, you don't need things like a 40-minute video from all these creators saying exactly how to do it. This is the best way to explain it. Credit Mr. Spocky putting a long and the short of it up. Also, if you do scroll down in this is pretty much long and the short of it. You have a 50% chance to get the featured character on the banner. If you lose, you have an equal chance to get any of the 7 characters, 2 of them from the previous limited. For those who don't know, when limited banners carry on, the characters from those banners prior to it that were limited, they don't go away. They are a chance to actually get received in the next banner. That happens for dupe banners, and it goes away for good. So essentially, if each patch is 3 weeks, you have 9 weeks to potentially farm for a character, alright? Just bear that in mind when you make your assumptions. Yep, 2 of them from the previous limited, and if you want to specify the chances, here they are. 50% chance for the character, it is a 50-50 system. 7.14% chance for the 2 limiteds, 14.28% total if you were lucky enough to get a previous featured, which is no longer technically featured, as they are in the other side of the coin flip, and a 35% chance at the permabanner characters. And if you guys don't know this system, there is what's called a 120 token guarantee. So this 120 number does a lot of hard lifting. As you can see in this photo, pity goes up to 80. 120 is the spark. What the spark system is for new gens is you can buy the character from the pity. The pity becomes a currency. But the main thing people are mad about is the 50-50 doesn't have a hard pity. So for example, you can't go to 160 if you lost the coin flip on the previous one hard pity and hit it this pity. You can lose it again unless you have this spark. And this spark is 1 time per banner. Once you go into getting copies and duplicates, it is now RNG. You can go 5 50-50s winning, you can go 5 50-50s losing. God giveth, God taketh away. There is no actual inherent guarantee you could ever get copies if you are that unlucky. And again, hypotheticals, 90% of people don't actually even spend money on the game, okay? So we've got all the information on the table now. You'd understand from a base concept what this system is. You pull to 120, guarantee your character, but after that 120 guarantee, there is no guarantee. You go up to 80 as a hard pity, see if you get something. If it is your character, great. If it's not, you go again, and you go again, and you go again. Good. We're on the same page. But there's things like this being dropped, which, look at what we're actually seeing here. This is the most insane thing. It does explain it, sure, but it is a goddamn flowchart. You pull 30, no, 60, no, yep, if you do this, then this or that, this or that. You don't need any of this. The base concept is, if you have 120 pulls and you want a character, you have the character guaranteed. If you have anything less than 120 per banner, you're not going to get the character. Potentially. Again, you could get her on the first pull. Who knows? But I want to touch on a couple things. There have been a few people saying that it's, and dead on arrival, don't even bother playing the game. It is the worst thing you could possibly do. Because of the way the system is, where you have infinite 50-50s. And I can see how that is the worst thing ever. I can understand that entirely. Some people think it's good, some people think it's bad, and everything in between. You're just never going to ultimately know until you play it yourself if it does work for you. Now, if you're a free-to-play, I want to mention one thing to you quickly if you are getting deterred from actually playing this game. What you're seeing on this page is a bunch of free-to-play characters. The way this game works, with arknights in particular, is there's 3 different type of rarity Sue characters. In the big AAA games, that's like not really a thing. You usually have the 4-star, 5-star, that's it. In this game, you're 4-star, 5-star, and 6-star, okay? And every single 4-star in the game is free. You don't really pull for them. They are the fodder weapon you get in your 10 pull. You get 6 of them. If you get 4 purples or 3 purples and a 6-star, right? You're gonna have all of them maxed out, juiced to the gills. On your account as soon as you pull your 135 base pulls you get from hitting level 40 on the actual game itself. And you might think, oh no, they suck, they're going to be unusable. I want you to look into the history of Arknights. Ever since the dawn of time, Arknights has had this sort of system where you have the bottom rung, zero currency, maxed out potential characters. They are never amazing. And circumstantially, depending on your team composition, they can be actually pretty garbage. But Arknights has always been a game, at least from the base concept and what I played in the beta, that gives you reward for time in and ability to play, right? So a great example of this is someone like a Kirsten V, okay? If you were looking at this wondering what this is because you never played the base Arknights, you choose your squads in the first Arknights. You can pick up, I believe, 10 characters and a support, and then you go in and you beat it. It is a tower defense game. Since the dawn of the game to now, which was 5 years ago, they are still making content regarding the absolute limit you can push your account to. If you were a free-to-play who had a personal challenge of never spending currency in the game, look at this. All of these characters free, if anything, guaranteed 4-star in one way or another when it comes to just pulling in general. If you choose to click the pull button in this game, you will have a better squad than this directly out of pocket. And it has been documented so many times that you can still beat the current content. And a lot of people want to then bring up the next side of things with the gacha. If you have to have 120 pulls to guarantee somebody, what are you going to do when you want the next banner? What are you going to do when you want a character because you're currently bored of the current one, which is a subject of the Diderot effect, which I can get into later, I guess. Or your character just sucks now. Arknights thinks of that. And they don't leave you hanging. I want to quickly explain in the base Arknights why, again, I believe all this stuff in some level of concept will be brought to the new game Endfield when the time is needed, when it comes, when power creeps does develop into being a thing. The base game had something called modules. Let me explain what modules are to you. So, the modules available for 4-star and above characters. So as you can see, doesn't apply to the ones you get guaranteed for free maxed out, which is fine. They are meant to be shit kicker characters, not meant to be absolute world beaters. And the modules are a special item that acts as equipment which improves their attributes and either upgrades their trait or adding a new trait when equipped, improving the operator's performance, particularly in their primary roles. All modules, except for the default badges, are unique to each operator and cannot be equipped by others, even those in the same class, branch, or rarity. So essentially, when this game, now that it is 5 years old, and you can see here just the amount of modules and everything that is actually in the game, they tune everything. Characters that came out from the very first banner, okay? Characters that came out in the first year just turn to shit over time because you need to scale power, hence power scaling is where they got the name. Insane, I know. Due to the constant scaling of the power in the game and the way attack and HP and everything works, your older characters naturally, in every context of pretty much any live service game, become chopped. Not really a better way to explain it. Arknights actively combat that with the module system. So you get these nodes, essentially an equipment piece. If you play HSR, Genshin, or let's say an Echo for Wuwa, it's like an additional slot. So if you have 5 in those games, it'd be like a 6th slot where the character gets brought back up to the current meta. So they can be used again to the fullest extent instead of being a weight on your account that you poured so much resources into to where they're just shit now, they're unusable. Arknights actively combats that. So if you want to be a Yvonne, Halaga, current name, what's the name, Progagic, pretty much any character from the jump, day one, when they start struggling, give it a patch or two, they will probably get a module when they release this system in the new game, okay? And they'll be straight back to how they were. Granted, I'm not going to pretend and say every module in the game is perfect and brings them all up to the meta. Some of them are not amazing, but the vast majority can pull them into the very least usability. If you're a tier list guy, easiest way to explain this is if you get your character and they are A tier and they go all the way down to D tier, depending on the module and the rarity of the character, they could go anywhere back up to A, maybe sit at a high C, something along those lines. I'm just trying to help dumb it down a little bit. But yeah, that's pretty much the thing. And one thing I did want to touch on, I'm not trying to become a psychiatric evaluator. I'm not. I am an absolute Australian nincompoop who doesn't know his left from his up. People who complain that they can't pull every single character in the game, which genuinely boggles my fucking mind. How do you think they make money? They are all a play on the Diderot effect. And the Diderot effect is a phenomenon that occurs when acquiring a new possession that leads to a spiral of consumption that results in the acquisition of even more possessions. You buy something, and you want the new one, and you want the new one, and you want the new one. Now, I want to also preface this, which you probably saw from the thumbnail. This is just gambling. It's why we play these games. It is a core component, hence why they're called gacha, that they're going to have a gambling. Insane, right? News to me, like, blew my mind. But unless you're going to spend money, you're not going to get everyone. That is the whole point. Free-to-play has to make sacrifices. And I also want everyone to kind of know, the vast majority of people who play the games are free-to-play. If we want to really get into it, there was a big mega thread on explaining this all and all that kind of stuff. From a 2018 census, freemium games and companies, on average, 1.6% of players actually spend money. All right? So the main amount of people don't play the game. So I want to also voice, I can get your concern entirely. I want to be free to play on this game as long as possible because I want to make a complete free account with the 4 stars, as I mentioned, to try and build all the content to prove it's purely pull who you like, not pull for meta, because this game is, to a degree, logic based around beating endgame content on team composition and raw ability. I'm not going to say raw ability like this game's going to be hard. I don't actually think it will be as much as I want it to, but those are the 2 main pillars, okay? But most people watching this video are not going to spend money. And if you are, you have no issue with the gacha system unless you're a whale and you get super unlucky spending 5 grand and getting 1 copy of the character. But you have to make sacrifices. That's just the way it is. And if you still think I'm talking out of my ass, I want you to ask yourself, when was the last gacha game you played that gave you every single limited character for free? Never. It's just not a thing. It's just not. And I'm not going to delve too deep into the weeds of the data and everything. The average person who spends, at least in the time of the 2018 report, was about $23. If a million's going to be 160,000, then, you know, it'd probably be fair to say there's probably 3.2 million they'll spend money day one. I imagine 30 million first month pretty comfortably. Each person spends, let's say, $20, write it down, make the math easy. We are in the ballpark of 60 mil day one. And if you care about longevity of a game, you're good. Don't play this game thinking things are going to go tits up and there's not going to be a server on it in a month's time. That's never a thing, you know. Contrary to the belief of a lot of Doom posters, this game's not going anywhere for at least 7 years. All right, that's just a fact. And one thing that really made me think the most about this is I saw a post from Brax, which is where I did get this spreadsheet, admittedly, saying the game is getting too overdoomed. If you play short term, you're kind of not going to get the most bang for your buck with the way the system works in the gacha. And if you play long term, it favors you more. That honestly is the best way to put it. Another thing people are completely omitting is we don't know if this is a good or bad system until the game comes out, because we don't know how many pulls we're going to get per patch. If they give us nothing, it doesn't matter how controversial the system is going to be terrible. If they give us a lot of pulls, this is probably one of the bigger wins, because if you guarantee 120 per banner, you can get a good amount of characters. And with the way they pull over to the next adjacent banners, 9 weeks to farm for the potential chance at them, granted your chance is a lot lower in the second and third attempts, they're still there. People are definitely overreacting, but I can understand the cause of concern. I cannot stress that bit enough. But one thing that made me want to make this video in turn was to kind of just talk to you guys on a base level of, it's a video game. If you guys have been in the space of gaming as a whole and not seclude yourself to exclusively gacha, there's been a little bit of back and forth with the current stop killing games movement, okay? I'm not going to go into that. That's a separate conversation entirely. But there is this one quote from Josh Dreyfus who, I think kind of explains everything that is tilting me about this scenario perfectly. And I'm just going to let it play.
People see their gaming time as investment, which they should not do.
It's not a thing.
People think that when they play a video game, they are investing into their future, which is not a healthy or smart position to be in.
And that wraps up everything I'm trying to say as perfectly as I possibly can. If you buy a book and, for example, you buy the entire series of Game of Thrones, right? Up to Winds of Winter, which is never coming out. You shouldn't read that entire book thinking you're coming out of that with knowledge that you can weaponize for your investment into yourself. You buy the book because you want to read it, and when you are reading it, you find enjoyment, and then when you look back on it, you feel nostalgic. You feel a happiness of how enjoyable the story was. You don't look at it and go, each book cost me $30, it's about 7 books in the franchise, it's about $210 at a base level, but I bought it through expedited shipping and through the winter sale. I got it off that, was admittedly free. So, girl math, I've saved $30, so it's technically $180. You don't do that math in your head. If you do, you bought it for the wrong reasons. It is made to be enjoyed, and last time I checked, Arknights Endfield is a video game. Don't get that twisted. This is a game you play, and it is meant to be fun. If your barrier to entry for a game is a gambling mechanic built in, and you don't spend a dime and expect to get every character, you're in the wrong category. Gacha as, and I will say it pretty obviously, not to scare anyone, Gacha is predatory. It is made to take your money. It's how they make money. It's why it's free to open and free to play. But when you want the certain luxuries in the game, it costs you money. Insane system, no? But we let it pass because we are happy with the compromise of the type of game it is. It is a game that theoretically never ends because they want to keep adding story, they want to keep adding maps, so on and so forth, okay? And that is fun. Play the game because you want to play it. Don't play it because the gambling is bad or the gambling is good. Don't play it for the gambling. It's a byproduct of a way to keep the game running. Anyway, that's pretty much all I want to explain about it. I don't want to go any further than this. I have no idea how long this video is going to be. I've been ranting for a while. I'll try and cut it down. But the gacha system's fine. It has definitely problems, which I think I could sum up in my most recent tweet, essentially. It's probably the best way to put it. Real world politics don't question people's opinion of a gacha system people relax. So the way people act like this is genuinely crazy, right? But long and short of it is, if you're a short-term gambit anti, it's bad. If you play long-term, it's good. At the same time, perpetual chance of never getting dupes is and can also be bad. It is gambling. Good luck, have fun. Alright, enjoy Talos 2 and Mins. Alright, I want you to seriously have fun with this game. If the gacha is putting you off from ever playing it because you think gaming is an investment, you are high and need to be institutionalized. It's never that deep. Your comfort character isn't real. I hope you go to sleep knowing that. I love you all. Thank you so much for watching. I don't know what this rant was. I had to mention it. So, yeah. Probably going to get a little bit of hate for it. I don't care. People need to know. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Let me know what you think in the comments below or at me in Discord. Bye-bye now.